Hello, if you want to watch exclusive lemon content on What If Naruto, then go to my Boosty. The first link in the description here contains such hot stories for adults, such as What If Naruto was a daddy for Sarada, or Kushina and Mikoto vulgar Naruto mommies. Follow the link and enjoy. I'm waiting for you.
It was a warm and normal night in the village of Konoha. Most of the people had left the market and returned to their homes, so a calm atmosphere reigned. The merchants could be heard closing their shops. The ninja patrols had just returned from their duties. Hey, there's the devil. Unfortunately, this was also normal. A 6-year-old boy, blonde and spiky-haired, dressed in rags, was running as fast as his small legs would allow him. Behind him, a mob of armed civilians, with all kinds of objects, from wooden planks to swords, was chasing him. The boy's name was Uzumaki Naruto. He was being persecuted because, 6 years ago, a terrifying demon named Kyuubi no Kitsune had attacked the village. The 4th Hokage defended her, but the demons could not die, only become incapacitated. So the only options to defeat him were to seal him or knock him unconscious. The latter was impossible, because apparently it was very difficult to knock out a 15-meter fox demon. Therefore, he sealed it inside the boy who was now running, using the Shinigami, sacrificing his life as the price of that jutsu. The boy became the Kyuubi's Hinzuriki, but since the latter had killed many people, leaving many other widowers and orphans. People saw the boy as the embodiment of the Kyuubi. But the child did not know. He still ran into that alley over there. That day was not his day. First, their ramen went bad, and the milk was sour. But he didn't set the expiration date until after he ate. Then, when he went to see the elder Sadame, his secretary kicked him out. Literally. It's not that hard to kick out a malnourished 6-year-old. And now this. But his day got even worse when the alley he entered ended in a dead end. He turned around to see if he could find an escape route before the mob found him. His hopes were instantly dashed. "I've got you cornered, you evil brat. Now behave yourself and stay still," said a civilian, probably the leader. Naruto wondered if that guy was stupid. First he calls him a demon, and then he tells him to behave himself. Then he assumes that he's going to stand still while he beats the shit out of him. Well, I'm not giving up without a fight, Naruto thought. One of the disadvantages of being 6 years old is that you are not very strong. So Naruto pointed to a weak spot and kicked it. "Strong. What are you doing, Zack?" The leader shouted as they kicked his precious Pretji. "You son of, kill him. Kill him now." "Shit," Naruto exclaimed when he saw the crowd approaching towards him. For the next few minutes, Naruto tried to dodge their attacks. But the adults were too strong and fast. They finally caught him and began to beat him brutally. Naruto could stand wooden weapons, as he had developed a great tolerance to the pain in recent years, thanks to all the beatings. But he could only scream and cry when he was being cut by knives and swords. He thought, "I'm going to die. Wait, they always saved me before, but the Zambu didn't show up. Where is Inyuzan when he is needed?" He was starting to faint from the blood loss. Then he heard, "Weakling. I can't have a moment of peace without being beaten up." Naruto was scared. What? Where are they? Whose voice is that? I must be hearing voices because I've lost a lot of blood. Yes. Damn, I can't even have a normal death. I have to hear imaginary voices before I leave. Imaginary. I'm definitely not a creation of your mind, idiot. Naruto opened his eyes a lot. I was in a different place. There was no crowd, and he was unharmed. But I was in a sewer. What's going on? This way, a voice whispered. Who are you? Naruto shouted where the voice was coming from. He got no response, just the voice repeating itself like a broken record. I'd better go on. This might tell me what the hell is going on. Naruto followed the whispers until he reached a room with a huge cage. The bars were as wide as he was, and he was 21 meters tall. On it was a small piece of paper that said stamp. The whispers came from there. Come closer, he took 2 steps forward, and his eyes widened in pairs. Even when he saw the huge pair of red eyes staring at him. Come closer, he said again. No thanks. I'd rather be safe and sound. The giant eyes rolled over as the voice said, I'm not going to attack you. In fact, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't have survived a single attack from those idiots in the village. Where are we then? We met, by chance, in your mental landscape. Who or what are you, and why the hell do I have someone else on my mind? Oh my god, I'm going crazy. It finally happened. After all those beatings, I'm finally losing my mind. Kit, you're not going in, no. The old man is going to put me in the crazy man's cabin forever. Kit, listen to me. You're not. I can't be in a straitjacket forever. I need to be a ninja. I need my arms. Me, Kit. The thing roared. You're not going to go crazy. Then explain to me why you are here, in my mind. The caged creature moved forward, out of the darkness, in full view of everyone. Or just Naruto, in this case. Naruto's eyes opened even wider, so much so that he felt like his eyeballs were going to pop out of their sockets. I see that you finally realize who I am. I'm the big one. Why the hell do I have a 15-meter hairball on my head? I appeal. I'm gonna rip your head off for that. But you said you wouldn't attack me, Naruto said in an innocent voice. The worst thing is that Naruto wasn't trying to piss off the Biju. I was just confused, and I was a fool. More foolish than confused, the beast thought. As I was trying to say before, I am the Kirugi, the Kitsune. Yes, I had it more or less figured out. Kyuubi's eyes widened at that statement. And what? How have you deduced it? Well, he began to explain Naruto. You look like a fox, but I don't know many who are 50 feet tall. You were defeated on my birthday, and that paper says stamp. You're doing pretty well. Hey, at least I know there's a real reason adults are trying to kill me. Yeah, about that. If you don't do something, you're going to die. Now I can help you. My chakra can act as a defense for a while, so when that happens, run. Okay, got it. A red chakra emanated from the cage and surrounded Naruto. The adults had almost finished taking revenge on the brat demon when a civilian pulled out his sword and pointed it at Naruto. Suddenly, a red chakra began to envelop the 6-year-old boy. Shit, the devil is defending himself. Kill him now. The adult with the sword brandished it forward, right over the seal. What? Naruto thought. Hey, Kyugi, what's going on? He got no response. Then, the red chakra began to completely cover it. What's going on? An adult asked him. Why hasn't he died yet? Asked another. The chakra turned a blood red. Naruto began to struggle as the chakra enveloped him. He lost consciousness. The chakra formed over his body, like a second skin. Imagine the four-tailed Kirby without ears or tail. He threw a punch and the chakra went towards the left of the crowd. He brandished it to the right, smashing everyone against the alley wall. There were sounds of bones cracking and ribs breaking. Then, Naruto jumped into the forest. A few minutes later, the Harem arrived at the place with some ambu. He felt the Kyuubi chakra and went over to investigate. He ordered the Zumbu, take everyone who needs medical attention to the hospital. The rest will go with Ibiki to the intelligence and analysis department. Then he picked up a civilian and asked him, what happened and where is Naruto? The civilian, with his ribs shattered by Naruto's attack, did not have long to live. With a last sigh, he exclaimed, Uzumaki Naruto, that demon will kill us all. And it escaped from his lips. Naruto opened his eyes and found himself on a sunny day. Cool, my head. This hurts more than when my prank went horribly wrong. Mental note. Never to play pranks on the Zumbu again. Wait, what happened? It was found on the branch of a tree in the forests outside Konoha. Was he running away or something? He began to remember what had happened the night before. Hey, Kyugi, what happened? That idiot stabbed the seal when he was in the process of ordering my chakra to protect you, the Bijulu replied quietly. I know. Why am I here instead of bleeding out in an alley? When I sent the chakra, the seal started using it to protect you. But since I couldn't finish, the stamp got stuck on that order. So basically, the chakra wrapped around you to protect you and took over your body to escape, he said weakly. Hey, is something wrong? You sound weird. Because that idiot civilian stopped him halfway, the seal took everything he thought he needed, which was 4 power tails. 4 tails. No wonder you sound weak. It's not that, kid. As the process stopped, I never regained the energy. What? So I have 4 chakra tails. I just said that, you idiot. And then what will happen to me? From what I've seen here, the seal retains the chakra, so you can use it however you want. But since the order was to defend you, he can only protect you. What can I do then? Basically, you can shape the chakra however you want. Normally, you take on the form of a fox because of me, but he doesn't belong to me anymore. Then it's like an armor. Yes, in a way. You can also add other elements to the chakra to make the armor from a different material, such as wood, metal, etc. And now, the label should have already created a new one. Form that fits your mind and your thoughts. A new way. Try to activate it. You just have to say armor release. Well, here we go. Release of the armor. The seal shone for an instant with such intensity that it could be seen through his clothes. Wait, he's wearing earrings. Still, it could be seen without it glowing in the dark. Then, the red chakra emanated from the seal, enveloped the boy, and created a second skin. But it wasn't over. The seal absorbed Naruto's thoughts about the Kyuubi and changed shape. The bone of his canio near the temples protruded, forming 2 identical horns. 3 bony spikes emerged from each shoulder. A blade of bone sprouted from each elbow. Part of the chakra solidified, turning his forearms and hands into a stony arm. Imagine the boy's arm, but in both arms. Naruto walked over to the nearest water fountain and looked at himself in the mirror. It looked like a 1. It seems that I am a demon. Naruto exclaimed in horror. It must be because I'm a demon, so the seal took that knowledge and created that form. Turn it off. Say armor seal. Armor seal. Exclaimed the demonic Naruto. It glowed with a white light for an instant, which then faded away, revealing the normal Naruto standing below. How scary. But I felt so strong. Cool, I can't wait to teach the old man my new skills, and wait, the old man. I'm sure he's worried because I've disappeared. I'd better hurry up. Naruto headed towards Konoha. Naruto walked through the streets of Konoha, ignoring the glances of the villagers. He reached the Okage Tower and entered. He walked until he saw the secretary of the Okage. She glared at him and was about to tell him to leave when Naruto grunted. Don't say anything. I had a bad night and a complicated morning, so I'd rather you shut up before I do. He let out a hint of murderous rage. Since she was the Okage's secretary, she was used to that small amount of ki, but the Okage, in his office, felt it and opened the door. Naruto. Naruto? You're fine. Come on in, we have a lot to talk about. The secretary grunted. Okage-sama, letting this brat in would be a waste of time. The Okage said to the secretary with a withering look. I appreciate your opinion. The secretary gave a mocking smile to Naruto. So you're fired. Now get the hell out of my sight before I send the ambushes of you for almost breaking the law by calling Naruto a demon. The secretary stammered, trying to think of an excuse seeing his seriousness. Then he left with his head down. Naruto and the Okage entered his office. So, Naruto, what happened? Well, the villagers decided it was time to put the pointy object on the demon brat, the Okage said, grimacing knowing that his law could not protect Naruto at all times. Wait a minute. And how did you manage to escape? Kyuubi, the leader's eyes widened. Naruto, do you know that one about the Kyuubi? Yeah, I met him last night. And it's not the scary monster I was expecting. Hey, who says I'm not scary? Said the Kyuubi with a growl to try to scare the boy. The Okage felt the need to sit down. Naruto knew that. But, luckily, he was still as lively as ever. Well, Naruto, I'm glad you're okay. Yes, old man, something happened to the seal, and now I have new abilities, Naruto said with a smile. Obviously happy about his new powers. The seal? Thought the Okage. I'll ask Jiraiya to examine it when I get back. What skills, Naruto? Naruto's smile widened even more, if that was possible, as he said, armor release. The Okage began to panic when he saw the red chakra arise, fearing the worst. But when the armor appeared, his terror was even greater. Naruto looked like a hellish monster. Very cool, isn't it, Gigi? Great would be the last thing I could describe it, the old man thought. Naruto, what's going on? Naruto explained everything that the Kyuubi had told him. He told her what had happened to the seal, and why the armor looked like that. The old man rubbed his temples. I'm too old for these things, he said quietly. But Naruto heard it and said, well, maybe it shouldn't be Hokage. Why don't you give me the hat, and I'll take care of everything. After all, bad things happen. The side-eye smiled at me, glad that the new turn of events had not changed Naruto, as he still wished to be Hokage. Well, it looks like you'll have to train. Naruto got serious and said, yes, if the villagers don't kill me before I get strong. Saruto frowned, and would say something if that wasn't true. Then Naruto heard. Hey, brat, why don't you get out of the village for a while and train? So they won't bother you. Naruto pondered this possibility, and told the Hokage what Kyuubi had told him. The Sarame became worried. I won't allow it. I can't let a 6-year-old wander the country alone. Naruto's face reflected changing emotions, going from indecision to determination. Hey man, Kyuubi just told me that as long as they don't damage the seal again, the chakra will protect me. Unless an experienced ninja attacks me, I'll be fine. The elder leader thought, why would a ninja attack a small child? He should be safe, and if not, he's got that armor on him. Okay, Naruto. But I need to say something to the council. Can you think of anything for you or the fox? Naruto remained silent for a few moments, and suddenly raised his head and said, Kirby says that it shows that I have discovered a long-forgotten technique, and that I need to train somewhere else so as not to put anyone in danger. Well, what would the technique be called? Naruto said with an even bigger smile. Yoriten Jutsus, armor-style techniques. Naruto looked back at Konoha as he reached the village gates. This is the last time I will see this place for 7 years. But I'll be back, Naruto said without addressing anyone in particular. I'll come back to be a kid, prove to everyone that I'm the incarnation of the devil, and beat the crap out of all those idiots. He turned around and walked away. An ordinary day in the village. Izumo and Katetsu, the guards at the gate, were bored out of their minds. They didn't understand why they were always chosen for the guard. Why didn't they get an Iga to do it? As the day progressed, a solitary figure approached the door. They weren't sure if it was a boy, but because of his outfit, they ruled him out. He was wearing a cargo shirt and pants. But that was not what puzzled them. Everything was white. Which ninja did you wear in white? In addition, he wore black chains on his arms that jingled when walking. If it was a child, then he was either very foolish or very strong and brave. But if you knew who he was, he tried. You'd probably think it was both. And Zumo shouted, stop right there. What business do you have in Konoha? The stranger replied, I have been on a training trip for the past 7 years, and I have resided in Konoha. I've been through all the elementary countries, and just got back from Kumosin. To have rested. So I would greatly appreciate it if you would leave me alone. The tired stranger passed by the guards at the gate and headed towards the Hokage Tower. Katetsu said, who was that guy? Why on earth would a citizen of Konoha go to Kumo? While remembering what King Kage had done to the Iga 5 years ago. I'm more worried about who he is. He can't be a ninja in that color of clothes, can he? Izumo said. Mbulo better keep an eye out. I'll go and let them know. The Sairai contemplated his archenemy to me. This fearsome adversary was invincible, and had been the downfall of all the Kages. Someday I will finish reading the Ichika I bought. You won't beat me, paperwork. As he was starting to fill out forms, he heard a voice behind his back saying, Ichika. Wait a minute, man, you're a pervert. The Sairai I know what. He was paralyzed, and prepared to attack, but before he turned around, he realized something. Dude, there's only one person who would dare to call me that. He turned and saw the stranger, recognizing him instantly. If you have no idea who he is, stop reading. I don't want people like that to see my story. The Sadame lit up, and with a huge smile said, Naruto. You're back. There was Naruto. The first thing Sarutobi noticed was that he had the normal height for his age. He was malnourished at the time, so that was short for a 6-year-old. But the second thing he noticed was, hey, Naruto, why are you dressed in white? It's not exactly the color of a ninja. Old man, wearing white for 2 reasons. First, I want to draw attention. My new abilities are not the most stealthy, but they are very powerful. It'll be easier that way. Let them find me. The second, because then everyone will think I'm not a ninja and leave me alone. The guy had a worried expression on his face. But that would be dangerous for you. Naruto smiled sardonically. I'm not a little kid anymore. I'm much stronger than you think. Let me prove it to you. He walked up to the door and knocked on it. The door shot out of its hinges and crashed into a passing ninja. Suddenly, the Zombu appeared to protect the Sadame. One of them, wearing a hawk mask, asked, "Okage-sama, are you unharmed?" "Okage-sama." Tsurutobi looked like a gaping fish. What strength? He thought. It could rival Guy's. Then he saw the Zombu and motioned for them to move away. The Zombu looked at each other and nodded, indicating that the Okage was not in danger. They vanished with a flash. "Naruto, what have you been doing?" the Sadame asked him. Deep down, they preferred not to know. But he also wanted to show those inept council people that Naruto had become so powerful. They had not trusted his new abilities when he told them that Naruto had left. Flashback scene. "What?" shouted one of the counselors. "What do you mean the devil left?" Tsurutobi thought, I must not kill. I must not kill. No killing. He has left to train his new techniques, the Yoriten Jutsus. But how can we let that demon loose? We should send assassins to kill him. The councilman had a caught and stuck in his throat, courtesy of Tsurutobi. Is the same thing happening to anyone else? He asked, releasing huge amounts from here. No one answered. Okay, then I have to get back to my office. Wait, Okage-sama, Yashiniga said. Is it really okay for Konoha to leave the Kiwi Hinzriki alone? Shouldn't we send him an escort? The Seda told me, he has met the Kyuubi. Exclamations of surprise were heard all over the room, accompanied by many worried looks. Occupation. He continued. According to the fox, he will be protected by his chakra, so there is no need. Yasi seemed satisfied with the answer. But some murmured that the demon should still be brought back and forced to teach his techniques. Others said that the Okage had lost his mind. Tsurutobi looked around the room and said, if there are no more questions, the session is adjourned. At the end of the flashback, Naruto smiled at the Konoha leader and said, well, the first thing I'll do is slowly absorb the Kyuubi. At this, the Sarame's eyes widened. Explain yourself. Kyuubi said that since I'm training to be stronger, the seal thinks I'll need more chakra for my Yoriten Jutsus. That's why he's adding more tails to me. But I only got one more. So now I have 5. But that's not the best thing. Tsurutobi was amazed at the complexity of the Jotunheim seal. Wait, the best. Last time he said he was wearing demonic armor. I don't like the way things are going. What is the best closing question? Naruto's smile widened. The side-eye thought to me, one day, something really great will happen, and his smile will be so big that it will stick with him. Naruto said, well, basically, since I didn't have enough chakra control, I needed all 4 tails to activate the armor. But now I only need 1. In addition, I have created a new armor. I now have 5 armors in total, 1 for each tail. The problem is that I can only use each one once. Then I have to recharge it. What are your new armors? Naruto leaned forward and said in a playful voice, I'm not going to tell you. The Okage slammed his face against the desk, making Naruto laugh. I'm sorry, but you have to see it if you want to know. The side-eye sighed at me, rubbed his temples and said, I'm too old for this shit. Naruto said with a mocking smile. We all know that. The side-eye sighed at me again. Anyway, Genin's exam is today. Here's the room number. Now get out before I get a headache. Naruto was laughing all the way to the academy. Iruka looked at his class. There were few promising students and many not so much. The most promising was the rookie of the year, Uchiha Sasuke. If only he wasn't obsessed with revenge. There was the Inosakacho trio. There was Inuzuka, impulsive as always. And there was the shy Iga. Along with them, many fans obsessed with the Uches. Stupid pig. Let go of me, Sasuke-kun. You're Sasuke-kun. It's mine. Shut up. Iruka shouted using the giant head jutsu. Now, if you concentrate, you have your Genin exam today. They will be evaluated in the 3 jutsus of the academy, precision and taijutsu. First is a moment. Who are you? A stranger dressed all in white entered the room. This is where the Genin test takes place, right? Iruka looked at him askance. He thought, has Kenin already dressed completely in white? Do you have permission to take the exam? The stranger handed Iruka a paper signed by the Okage. Okay, class. We have a new student. Why don't you introduce yourself? He shrugged his shoulders. All right. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I am the only user of the Yoriten Jutsus. Style of armor. That sounds like a lousy jutsu. The armor would slow you down, Kiba said, as his fighting style depended on speed. Also, which ninja did you wear in white? He must be quite stupid or brave, Sakura said, expressing everyone's opinion. Naruto smiled smugly. Or maybe I just have confidence in myself. It doesn't matter how much confidence you have. You can't beat Sasuke-kun. Stop it. Iruka shouted, using the giant head jutsu again. You can discuss it after the exam. Understood. Bye. Fine. Now everyone take a seat, and either Mizuki-sensei, or I will call you to the exam room for the jutsu part of the test. Naruto didn't pay attention to who he passed or who he failed. He was just looking around at his new classmates. Mum, it looks like she's a Burami with her coat and glasses. Not much can be said. He needs to be watched. That kid who eats the snacks must be an Akimichi. Wait, that emo up there. Why does it look familiar to me? What did that pink vixen call him? An Uchiha. Uzumaki Naruto, Iruka called. Yeah, I'm coming. When he was in the exam room, he saw Iruka and Mizuki sitting behind a table. Okay, Naruto, please transform, Iruka said. Naruto thought for a moment, and a mischievous smile was drawn on his face. He made a couple of hand seals and was enveloped in smoke. When this one disappeared, it revealed a beautiful naked blonde girl with pigtails. Her private parts were barely covered by the chakra smoke floating in the air. Iruka and Mizuki opened their eyes like saucers and were shot across the room by the blood gushing from their noses. By then, Naruto had already released the Eng. Ugh, Naruto, what the hell was that? That was my Oiroke no Jutsu. It's perfect for distracting men and defeating perverts, he said with a smile. But then he frowned. But it works with women. Seriously, what was wrong with that grandma? He almost killed me with one punch. And what was wrong with the pig? Hey, Naruto, Iruka said, obviously confused by what the kid was saying, we need you to make a replacement. Naruto thought for a moment longer and gave another mischievous smile. Oh no. He disappeared in the blink of an eye, but did not reappear. Where did he go? Iruka asked him. Did you make a replacement? It looked more like a Shushin to me, Mizuki said. Ah, but that's the trick. You can really fool your enemies if you do it right. Iruka turned to Mizuki and saw Naruto standing over his head. He looked back and saw his headband, the one he used to cover his face, on the floor where Naruto used to be. Get off me, you little brat! Mizuki shouted. As Naruto got off, laughing the whole time, it should be noted, Iruka wondered how it was possible that Mizuki hadn't noticed him in the first place. Okay, Naruto, last part. Do the bunsen. You need to make at least 3. Iruka-sensei. Does it matter what kind of bunsen? What kind? Why don't you use the regular bunsen? Iruka asked him. No, Naruto. It doesn't matter. Naruto smiled before making a cross-shaped stamp. Kage bunsen no jutsu. 5 Narutos suddenly appeared. Iruka and Mizuki were stunned to see a student from the academy perform a class Akinjutsu without difficulty. When Iruka recovered from the astonishment, he said, Naruto, you have passed this part of the exam. Go back to the classroom until it's time for the next part. Naruto came back and leaned his head on the desk. What he didn't know was that someone was watching him. Naruto-kun. He's back, thought the shy Inada. By chance, I knew the guy because of what he had done years ago. Flashback scene. Inada was being harassed again by 3 boys. Hey, Eris Yuga. You think you're better than us, don't you? Said one of them. Nope, I don't think so. You're lying. Of course you think you're superior to us. How could a princess understand how we poor people live? I'm so sorry. No, you're not. You're just chickening out. What? Can't you face us? Oh yes, of course. Since you're rich, you can hire bodyguards. Well, we will make sure that you feel real regret, not that false pity. The boys attacked her in a group, and Nada closed her eyes, waiting for the pain. But he didn't feel anything. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3, then he heard. Wow! How brave! 3 against 1. Why don't they leave her alone? She opened her eyes and saw a boy her age with spiky blonde hair. The biggest, and probably the leader, stepped forward. Get out of our way. No. Then you'll be the first one to get beat up. The big guy took a step and withdrew his fist. At that moment, the boy, with withering reflexes, punched the leader in the stomach, leaving him breathless. Who's going to take a beating again? He said smugly. But that smile didn't last long. The other two crept up to him and grabbed him by the arms. Hey, get off. As expected, they did not pay attention. The leader caught his breath and made a furious face. That really hurt. Let's see what you think. And Nada could only hear the sounds of the beating as she closed her eyes to avoid seeing the beating. The boys got tired of the girl and said to her, "You're next, little princess. But my kids and I are tired. We'll get you next time." The boy with the spiky blonde hair was lying on the floor, and Nada was going to help him, but he started to move and got up on his own. He was a mess. He had knickers everywhere. He also had a black eye. I'm sorry. The boy looked at her with a confused expression. Why are you sorry? It's my fault you got hurt. No, it's mine. I decided to help a girl in distress. Besides, I hardly felt anything. He tried to be brave, but failed miserably due to his bruises. Hey, but? No buts. Well, I have to go. The old man is going to kill me if I'm late. Goodbye. He ran out, but because of the black eye, he hit his shoulder against the tree. And Nada thought about taking him home to give him medicine, but when she looked up, he was already gone. End of the flashback. By harassing, I mean gathering information. That's how she knew his name and his tenacity. She fell in love with the boy, but he left the village soon after. Iruka and Mizuki entered the room again. Iruka announced, "Now we are going to do the next part of the exam. Come out for the accuracy test." The class gathered outside. Now, Iruka said, "We will do the accuracy part of the exam." First, Naruto got a little distracted. He saw that Sasuke got 9 points, and Imada and Shino 7. Most of them got 4 or 5 points. Then he heard, "Uzumaki Naruto, it's your turn." Naruto approached Iruka. "Well, Naruto," Iruka said, "this part of the exam will test your marksmanship. You need to get it right at least 3 out of 10 times to pass. Now, please, throw the 5 Kyuna and Shuriken that are placed there, Naruto." "Yes. Where are the Kyuna and the Shuriken?" "Kyuna and Shuriken. Kyuna and Shuriken. Mom." "Ah? You mean those pointy things?" "Pointy things?" Iruka thought with a nervous twitch. "Yes, the pointy things." Naruto pointed to the targets. Iruka turned around and saw that all the shells had hit the target. Iruka's eyes widened before he said, "See, good job, Naruto. But can I ask you something? Why did you throw the pointy things before I told you to do it?" Iruka had a hard time pronouncing such a derogatory name for weapons. Naruto gave a shy smile. "Well, I have an old habit of throwing anything pointed when I see it. When traveling alone, your policy is to throw any pointed object first and ask questions later." Sounds too much like a certain snake mistress to me, Iruka thought. Well, he got a perfect 10. Now it's time for the last part of the exam. As you can see, we have this bowl with little papers. Each piece of paper has a name and Mizuki, and I will choose at random to form couples. Understood? Naruto was still tired from the journey from Kumo and would have fallen asleep, but most of the battles were quick and short. Almost all the Fang Hills lost instantly. Naruto laughed when a girl, I think her name was Aruno Sakura, was kicked out of the field by Shino's bugs. Even afterwards, She would rub her arms and pat herself randomly to make sure there weren't any bugs left around. But in general, there were no long battles, and when he heard his name, he decided to keep it that way. A moody Naruto is sometimes the worst Naruto. Uchiha Sasuke versus Uzumaki Naruto. Iruka announced. Not even a crazy idiot would dare to try to kill me, Sasuke said with overwhelming confidence. No, seriously, he was emanating a strange aura. Ahem. Sasuke stepped forward and threw a punch. Naruto, who still wished for this to end as soon as possible, at any cost, simply ducked. When Sasuke got close enough, with half of his strength, which was still considerable, he punched Lucia in the stomach. Sasuke flew out 3 meters across the field, out of breath. He spent the next minute trying to get it back. Uzumaki Naruto wins. What? That's impossible. Sasuke-kun could never lose. I'm sure he cheated, Sakura exclaimed. Many fans shared Naruto's anger and would have attacked him if nothing had stopped them. That something was his look. It was the look of a grumpy Naruto that basically said, if you bother me, I'll kick you over the village. And seeing how far Sasuke flew with a punch, it didn't seem impossible. After a few minutes, Iruka had gathered the class. Sasuke was standing up, but he kept glaring at Naruto. Ah, if looks could kill. Well, if they did, half the town would be killed tomorrow because of the cranky Naruto. Iruka said proudly. Congratulations, everyone passed. Please pick up a forehead protector before you leave. Remember that tomorrow at 9 o'clock, we will assign the teams to you. Naruto took a hair ribbon and tied it around his neck. She didn't want it to cover her forehead, as it made her hair stand up more than usual. Unbeknownst to him, a certain ego was delighted that her crush was wearing the same headband as her. Naruto left back to his apartment, but not before feeling a small, minuscule amount of anger and frustration. Damn it! Everyone approved, even the devil. I guess I'll have to steal the scroll myself, thought Mizuki, the silver-haired Chunin. Snoring. Naruto was finally getting some rest. Of course, because of all the idiots in the village trying to kill him while he was sleeping, he was still alert around him. But nothing was happening. Absolutely nothing. An alarm from the Okage Tower went off throughout the village. It usually meant that the security had failed. Naruto opened one eye. Damn it! I was finally sleeping. I would sleep more, but I'm a ninja now. Genino, no, I have homework. Naruto sighed before putting on a face of few friends. Whoever woke me up is dead. Naruto came out and wondered where he was going to start. I didn't even know who had infiltrated the Okage Tower. How the hell was I going to find just one person in that huge? Naruto saw something. Something that bothered him a little. It was Mizuki running stealthily with a huge scroll on her back. What bothered him was how pathetic his stealth skills were. How the hell hadn't the Andis located him yet? He is leaving the ninjas badly. She decided to follow him. Mizuki suddenly stopped. I know you're there. Naruto was about to come out of his hiding place behind a tree when Iruka appeared. Iruka, sensei. What are you doing here? Mizuki, what are you doing with the forbidden scroll? I'm going to talk to Loro Rashimaru. When he does, he will reward me with such a great force that not even the Okage will be able to stop me. Ha 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 ha. That's crazy. Bad combination. I should intervene. Mizuki grabbed his huge shuriken from the back, spun it and threw it at Iruka. I'm sorry, Iruka. But now you know that, so you have to die. Iruka became tense, ready to dodge at any moment, when suddenly a burst of Kuna and shurikens hit the giant and deflected him from his trajectory. Who's there? Show yourself. Mizuki shouted. Naruto came out and said, blocking technique with sharp objects. It works every time. Ah, the demon brat, Mizuki said with venom in her voice. Then his face changed and he outlined a huge smile. Even if he's a genin, he has perfect aim. We cannot allow them to work together. So I guess there is no other option. Hey, do you know why they call you a demon all the time? Wait, Mizuki, don't say it. It's forbidden. Iruka shouted. It's because the QB is sealed inside you. You are the QB. Now he dies. He threw his second shuriken at Naruto, believing that he was too distressed to dodge it. But then Naruto made a seal, and a bang was heard. The smoke covered his hand, and as it dissipated, a sword appeared. The sword was completely white, just like Naruto's clothes. The hilt was like that of any other sword, but the guard had 3 curves that ran from one end to the other. The pod was white and pure as snow. The blade had a silver metal part, and near the edge a white wavy design. At the bottom of the hilt, there was a sash held by a chain. Between the belt and the chain there was a sphere with a smiley face. Naruto smiled. Unfortunately, I learned about the Kyuubi a long time ago. He is the reason why I had to leave, because I got a new style of jutsus that I had to train, the Yoriten jutsus. Yoriten. I've never heard of that before. It must be a bluff. Naruto continued. Normally, I wouldn't talk about it or think about using it against a simple chunin. Mizuki became enraged. A simple chunin. I'll have fun killing him. But Naruto wasn't finished. I wouldn't use it if I wasn't so furious. You woke me up from my nap, so you're gonna pay me back. A drop of sweat fell on both men. He's angry because he was woken up from a nap. Naruto then turned to Iruka. Iruka-sensei, what is the mission? The mission was to retrieve the Forbidden Scroll and capture Mizuki, dead or alive. Naruto flashed a somewhat disturbing smile. Okay, he looks too much like Anko. Dead, huh? Mizuki smiled sarcastically. Do you think you can kill me? To a genin. Naruto made a seal that neither of the 2 men could recognize. Then he shouted, Yoriten, Abokundo. Chaos mode. Suddenly, a red chakra leaked out and formed a second skin. It seemed to both men that the Kyuubi was taking over. But then the chakra shone with a white glow. When it stopped shining, the eyes of both men opened wide, and they had similar thoughts. What the hell is he? One of the new armors used by Naruto. It was called Chaos Mode because it caused a lot of destruction. He was wearing armor on his chest, arms and legs. He had metal claws on his chest that seemed to cover something. On the back, he had a variety of circular saws, large and small. He also had small circular saws on his forearms and on the front of his legs. All the metal looked rusty. Basically, it looked like a product of an industrial accident. Whatever it is, it seems to be a short distance away. As long as I keep my distance, I'll be fine, Mizuki thought. Then, Naruto reached out a hand towards Mizuki and threw her forward, grabbing him by the neck. He looked and saw a chain connecting his hand to his arm. So what? What the hell is he? His hand and arm were one before that jutsu, but now, Naruto smiled. I bet you're wondering what happened. The Kyuubi chakra completely envelops me, like a second skin. But this appearance is because I put rusty metal in here and created this armor. So, even though it looks like I have a dislocated hand, it's just the appearance. The only thing distracting you is the chakra. Then Naruto got serious. But you're going to die here. I guarantee it. Mizuki let out a nervous giggle. Are you going to kill me? That's completely ridiculous. Naruto stepped back. Mizuki flew at him, and when he was very close, the claws on his chest caught him. From that distance, Mizuki could see under the claws large needles the width of a human arm and numerous circular saws. The claws pulled him even closer, and Mizuki opened her eyes wide. Realizing what was going to happen, he started to struggle, but it was too late. Cries of pain could be heard all over the forest. Iruka covered his mouth with his hand, trying to avoid vomiting. This kid is not normal. Yoriten. Abakundo. Setsuden, mutilation, Naruto said. Kill your target, while annoying others. I only use it when I'm angry. Still, this is too cruel, Iruka thought. Mizuki was a complete human. All that remained of him were strips and pieces of flesh, covered with blood. Naruto shone with a white light that shattered, revealing a Naruto without a drop of blood. Then he headed towards his house saying, I'm going back to sleep. When he left, Iruka quietly said, no normal child could sleep peacefully after what just happened. He looked at Naruto. Naruto, what happened to you? Deep down, they preferred not to know. The samurai remained seated in silence, thoughtful. He had witnessed everything that happened with Mizuki and felt the same as Iruka, only he thought he knew what had happened to him. Damn it! I knew I shouldn't have let him train with Kyubi. That cunning demon must have corrupted him. He called the Zambus. Ank, when Uzumaki Naruto wakes up, bring him here. Yes, Okage-sama. Naruto woke up and stretched out. He had finally calmed down. Suddenly, he narrowed his eyes and drew his sword. He aimed at the air, and an ambu appeared right where the sword was pointed. The ambu opened his eyes a lot. It was impossible. How could a child detect it? Uzumaki-san, August said, keeping calm, has been summoned by the Okage-sama. Naruto sheathed his sword. Fine. Ezo was getting ready to leave, he said. And Ambuzen, next time use the front door, unless you want me to make a new hole for you. Okay, Ambuzen. I wonder if this has anything to do with what happened last night. Well, I'd better get going. I can't have the old man waiting for me. Who knows when the palm. Naruto knocked on the door of the Okage's office. Or me, go ahead. Hey man. How are you doing? The Sairai had a very serious look on his face. Naruto, sit down. We have a lot to talk about. Naruto immediately adopted a serious countenance and sat down. Saruto beside. Naruto, first of all, I found out from Iruka that you used the Kajibin without no jutsu. Where did you learn it? It is a Konoha technique. When you're a demon, and you've lived for thousands of years, you learn things. Kyubi showed it to me. I knew it. The fox is probably the reason for Naruto's behavior with Mizuki. Well, what about that punch yesterday? The one you used to break down my door. Naruto shuddered before saying, in one of those gaming villages, I met a woman who threw me against a wall with one punch. I studied his technique, and found that, if you concentrate and release chakra with precise timing, you can imitate the superforce. But I'm not sure it's worth it. Then, Naruto curled up in the fetal position. Please, no more punching. I don't like walls. I won't call you Grandma anymore. Do you bet? Superforce. Grandma. Sounds like Tsunade. Naruto yawned. Is that all, man? No. One more thing. Why did you kill Mizuki like that? Why what? Why did you kill him so cruelly? Don't worry. My answer is not because I can. It's because I hate traitors. They are the worst kind of scum. Why did you hate traitors so much? Naruto clenched his fist. Because all my life I have been beaten, injured and burned. But what hurt me the most was when the people who got close to me betrayed me. They just came closer so I wouldn't suspect them, and stabbed me in the back. In some cases, he was actually stabbed in the back. The Okage relaxed. He was relieved that Naruto wasn't a psychopath. Even Anko wasn't. He was just acting weird. Orochimaru if he was a psychopath. Okay, Naruto. You can go now. Okay. Anyway, I need some ramen. I haven't been to Ishiraku since I got back. The Okage laughed silently as Naruto left. Well, it seems that some things are still the same. More. Bara bara more, bara. Naruto entered the small restaurant. Toiki asked, "Welcome. Can I take your order?" "Mum, I'll take one of each." Toiki's eyes widened. One of each thing. But he watched this stranger carefully. It looks familiar to me. Wait, I only know one blonde guy who would eat a little bit of everything. Naruto? Hello, old Ishiraku. Where is Yami? I sent her on an errand. Wait a minute. I already have the food ready. And it's on the house. Wait. I appreciate it, but I'd rather not ruin you. I'm paying, and I'm not taking no for an answer. Now get me my food before I pay more. Toiki let out a laugh before getting back to cooking. 30 minutes later, Naruto finished his 17th bowl of ramen. He paid the right amount and left a nice tip. Then he went to the academy. Despite having had a hearty breakfast, he was not the last to arrive. The last ones to arrive were the presidents of Sasuke's fan club. They were fighting over who would sit next to their precious Sasuke. He saw them approaching. He was wondering why when he looked to his left and saw the boy Imo with a gloomy countenance next to him. The two got to the seat they were fighting over. And she didn't see who it was and she was silent. Not Sakura. Hey, move it. I want to sit next to Sasuke-kun. Sakura covered her mouth with her hand as she realized that she had just yelled at the only person. She's capable of ending her life over a bowl of ramen. Naruto stood up and looked at Sakura. She was trembling with fear. Then he burst out laughing like crazy. Don't worry. I don't hurt girls. Sasuke smiled sarcastically. What's the matter, Uzumaki? Are you afraid? Yes. Yes, I am. Kiva pointed a kunai at Naruto's neck. How are you going to be a ninja if you are afraid of a girl? You must be terrified of this kunai. Come on, try to stop me. Kiva suddenly found himself punched and embedded in the wall of the. I know you don't have much experience with girls, considering one of you has never had a girlfriend and the other is probably gay, growled Kiba and Sasuke respectively, but you should put aside your macho attitude before they kill you. Girls can be the scariest thing if given the chance, even for silly things. I mean, I trashed his room. It was an accident. Yujito didn't have to react like that. Everyone froze when they heard that. No one knew if he was dense, stupid, or if he was faking it. In any case, they were afraid of what had happened. Except Kiva. What happened? Naruto sighed. I burned his stuffed animals, wrecked his bed, skewered his pillows, and closed his mirrors in half. Everyone got a drop of sweat when they heard that and thought the same thing. He's an idiot. Kiva asked, what did she do? He tied me up and blew the house up, Naruto said with a nonchalant tone. Everyone was stunned. Something wasn't right with that guy. Before Kiba could ask anything else, and she didn't push him away. Iruka entered the room. All right, everybody sit down. No one paid any attention to him. He used the giant head jutsu. No one paid any attention to him. Apparently, after years at the academy, they had gotten used to it. Then, Naruto concentrated the Kyuubi chakra in his throat. Then he said in a demonic voice, shut up and listen. Everyone quickly returned to their seats before Naruto got angry. Well, it was actually the boys. The girls took their time to come back. Thank you, Naruto, Iruka said. I'll announce the teams now. Naruto fell asleep. Not because he was tired, but because he thought it would upset others. He woke up when he heard. Team 7 consists of Yukiya Sasuke, Aruno Sakura, and Uzumaki Naruto. Sakura celebrated learning that she was on the same team as her Sasuke, while Ino complained. Equipment 8 and above are canon. Stay here until your sensei's Julin arrive. But congratulations. You are all genin. Naruto was looking at Sasuke. Uchiha, the name sounds familiar to me. Who does he remind me of? In his mental landscape, Kyubaruno, Malara. Your head is mine. This man is very close to suffering the same fate as Mizuki-sensei, Naruto thought. He and his team had been waiting for 2 hours, while the rest of the class had left an hour and a half ago. His colleagues seemed to think the same. Well, Sasuke is. Sakura was screaming at the ceiling. This has already gone too far. He went to get an eraser. Then he drew blood from his thumb and began to draw a stamp on it. Sasuke looked at him, curious about what the blonde was doing. Then Naruto took out several kunai and shurikens and sealed them there. What is that idiot doing? Sasuke thought. Sakura wasn't as silent as him, at least not as much as Naruto had seen her heard. So she used to say the first thing that came to mind. Hey, what are you doing? Sakura asked as kindly as possible. She knew Naruto wouldn't attack her, but she was still scared of him. Naruto replied, making sure our sensei understands the consequences of being late. Then he went to the door and stuck the eraser between the door and the wall. Then he returned to his seat. 10 minutes later, he heard footsteps. He looked up and looked towards the door. Sakura and Sasuke did the same. The door opened, and a one-eyed man poked his head out. He asked, "Is this Team 7? Boing." The eraser hit his head, leaving a chalk mark in his hair. But before he could say anything, Naruto made a stamp. Suddenly, the rubber stamp flashed, and the kunai and shuriken shot out. The one eye opened wide. Sealing technique. He quickly moved away before being pierced by the weapons. Sakura and Sasuke walked away from Naruto. Mental note: don't keep Naruto waiting. The Junin poked his head out again. He pointed at Sasuke and Sakura. I hate you, I hate you. Then he pointed to Naruto. "And I really hate you." To which Naruto replied, "Welcome to the club." Inside, the Cyclops felt pity and surprise. He knew who Naruto was and what kind of life he led. But it surprised him that he knew the stamps, however basic they were, even if they were used against him. "Come to the rooftop." With that said, the Cyclops disappeared in a flash. The team had to climb the stairs. Once upstairs, the Junin said, "Well, let's introduce ourselves." Sakura raised her hand. "What do you mean, sensei?" "That is, say your name, your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies and your dream. Can you teach us?" Naruto slapped his forehead. Wasn't she the smartest girl in the class? Kakashi said, "Okay. My name is Itachi Kakashi. I don't need to know what I like and what I dislike. My hobbies are and my dream is." Naruto and Sasuke's eyes twitched. The whole team thought, "We have only learned his name." Kakashi drew a smile with his eyes before saying, "Okay, Pinky. Your turn." Sakura's eye twitched before she said, "My name is Aruno Sakura. I like it." He looks at Sasuke and chuckles, "I dislike Nino. Why?" He almost said Naruto, "It doesn't matter. My hobbies are," look at Sasuke and chuckle again, "and my dream is," look at Sasuke again and squeal. Naruto wasn't listening. He was absorbed in his thoughts. Suddenly he found himself in front of the cage. "Hey, Hairball. Why did you bring me here? I'm in a team meeting. Show respect. I brought you here for a good reason. It looks like you forgot one of your goals, did I?" "Yes. Remember who put me here?" "Madara? What was it?" "Uchiha, you idiot." "It wasn't." "Yes, your classmate's name was Uchiha. That's why Sasuke looked familiar to me. That's all. You brats have no patience. Well, you can go now." Naruto returned to the outside world, just as Sakura was talking about her dream and squealing with excitement. "Maybe I should thank the hairball. Looks like I got rid of something annoying." "Great, a fanatic," Kakashi thought. "Okay, now it's your turn, Emo." This time, Sasuke's one eye twitched. "My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I have no defined tastes, and I dislike a lot of things." Naruto pointed at Sasuke. "So you're an emo." Sakura, who had overcome her fear of her crush, gave him a blow to the head. Sasuke continued, "I don't have any hobbies." Naruto decided it was better not to say anything. "My dream, no, my ambition is to kill a certain man." Kakashi nodded. "Okay, it's your turn, Rubio." Naruto started. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like working out and ramen. I dislike the time it takes to cook instant ramen, people who judge before they meet someone, and traitors. My hobbies are working out and eating ramen. My goal is to have the power to protect the people I care about, no matter what it takes, and to kill 2 traitors." "Who? What do you care?" Sakura hit Naruto again. "Baka. Tell that to Sasuke-kun already." Naruto pouted before saying, "2 people from your clan." "What?" "I am the only survivor of the Uchiha clan massacre. The only Uchiha left is my brother," he said with venom in his voice. "According to my sources, no. My targets are Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Madara." Kakashi opened his eyes wide when he saw Itachi, but to Madara he said, "Uchiha Madara is dead. Tell my parents." "His parents? What does Yodame have to do with Madara?" Kakashi thought. "Why do you want to kill Itachi?" Sasuke asked him. "I'll be the one to kill him. Not an idiot. Itachi is a traitor. I hate all traitors. Besides, he stuck a kunai in my stomach. But he was wearing the weirdest clothes. It was a black cape with red clouds." Kakashi thought. "I think Hiraya told me about them. Akit, something like that. Anyway, see you at boot camp 7 for your Genin exam." "But Kakashi-sensei," Sakura said, "we've already taken the Genin exam." The Jounin Eye of the Cyclops smiled. "That was a test to rule out those who had no chance. This test will check if you are really ready to be Genin. By the way, the test has a 66% failure rate." Sakura opened her eyes wide. Sasuke thought, "I'm an Uchiha. As long as he's in the team, we can't fail." "You arrogant bastard." Naruto thought. "Finally a challenge. I haven't had one in years since Itachi." Before Kakashi disappeared with a shunch, he said, "Oh yeah, don't have breakfast. They're gonna throw up." Naruto quickly left to come up with a strategy. Sakura realized that she was alone with Sasuke. "Hey, Sasuke, do you want to go out with me?" "No." The next day, Naruto woke up and got out of bed. "Mom, Kakashi better not be late. I'm not going to kill him, but I'd better use chaos mode to scare the hell out of him." She dressed quickly. And he ate some ramen. "I knew from my own experience that if you didn't eat, you would get tired right away." He left for training camp 7. He saw that no one was there. So he sat down near those 3 stumps in the middle of the field and went over his strategy. He opened one eye when he heard footsteps and saw Sasuke. Sasuke came over and sat down by the right stump. Of course, after 10 minutes, they both heard Sasuke-kun. Naruto felt sorry for the boy. He understood that the Uchiha was not looking for a relationship because of his ambition. But love is blind. However, for the fanatics, love made them blind, deaf and stupid. Sakura tried again and asked Sasuke on a date. Naruto returned to his thoughts. Poor Sasuke. An hour later, Kakashi suddenly appeared on the battlefield. He was ready for combat, with a kunai in each hand, ready to defend himself from Naruto. But when he looked at him, he saw that Naruto was not doing anything. He simply said, "Well, only an hour late. It's still not good, but it's an improvement." Kakashi relaxed and put away the kunai. The Junin placed a stopwatch on the middle stump. "Well, the test is that you take these bells off me before the time runs out." He pulled out some silver bells, but Sakura realized the obvious. "But Kakashi-sensei, there are only 2. Kakashi smiled. "You know, I've never noticed before, but it's kind of disturbing," Naruto thought. "That's right. There are only 2 of you, because one of you will fail and return to the academy." Sakura started to get nervous. Sasuke smiled smugly, thinking that an Uchiha would never lose. Naruto seemed too excited. "So the test is to fight him. That's the best challenge I could ask for. You have 1 hour to take these bells. Start now." Sakura and Sasuke hid among the nearby trees. Naruto, on the other hand, stood still. "They don't get it, do they?" Naruto flashed a big smile before saying, "Not really. The important thing for me is to see how far I've come. So I'm going to fight you and judge myself by the results." A genin fighting a jounin. This is going to end well, Kakashi thought. "Well, let's see how strong you are." Naruto disappeared and reappeared in front of Kakashi. "What the hell?" He then threw a punch at her. Kakashi blocked him and flew out 3 meters. "Really? Who is he?" "Guy's apprentice." "No, wait, he's not wearing green tights." Naruto appeared behind Kakashi and tried to sweep him away, but Kakashi jumped out. Then, another Naruto hit the Cyclops on the head. Shadow Recomposition Jutsu. How do you know an rank jutsu? Is he really a genie? He realized that if he didn't step up to the plate, he would be slammed to the ground. He waited for Naruto to hit him, but Naruto crashed into log. Damn, a substitute. Naruto looked around. Left, right, up and back. Where was he? Naruto's eyes widened as he felt hands on his ankles. Totan. Edoan no Jutsu, Jutsu Headhunter. Naruto was dragged to the ground until he saw everything from the point of view of an ant. Down. Never forget that a ninja can be anywhere, Naruto said with a mocking smile. I didn't, he replied and disappeared. Kakashi's eyes widened. Shadow Fusion Jutsu. When did you create one? In the forest, Naruto was removing the dirt from his clothes. It's a good thing I did the Kajiban without before coming. Naruto decided to wait for Sasuke and Sakura to be defeated before attacking again, but this time he wouldn't hold back. 45 minutes later, Naruto entered the field and saw Sakura unconscious and Sasuke's head. Sasuke glared at Naruto. Idiot, get me out of here. Naruto came over and tapped him. Cool. Stop it. He tapped her again. Idiot, you better stop. This was repeated over and over again until Sasuke lost his patience and shouted, Idiot. If you don't stop, I'll kill you. Sasuke's screams woke Sakura up. He looked at Naruto, and then at Sasuke's head, and fainted again. Naruto laughed saying, it was worth wasting 5 minutes. Sasuke glared at him. Then get me out of here. Naruto looked at him and said, no. Then he went to the center of the field, while Sasuke shouted obscenities at him and exclaimed, Kakashi-sensei, I'm here. Kakashi suddenly appeared on the field with a twitch in his eye. Are you trying to act like a child? Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Hey, that got you here, didn't it? Kakashi opened his mouth to retort when he lowered his head in defeat. Well, what do you want? I already told you that. I want to test myself. But now I'm going to give it my all. Naruto clasped his hands together, forming a seal that Kakashi had never seen. Then he shouted, Yoriten, Higoku no Kishimbo, Hell Knight mode. It was wrapped in the second skin and shone with a white light. Kakashi prepared himself for whatever was going to happen. Kakashi became tense. He read Naruto's file and saw that he had a different style of jutsu called Yoriten. But the file did not explain what it consisted of. So Kakashi prepared for any eventuality. Sasuke's eyes widened. Naruto was glowing. What jutsu was that? It is releasing huge amounts of chakra. Then he became enraged. Why is that? Why does an idiot like him have this power? I need that power, so because he is much more powerful than me. Sakura was awakened by the white light. I was scared. I've never seen a serious Naruto before. In fact, I was afraid of him even when he was acting normally. The white light faded away. Everyone opened their eyes wide when they saw Naruto transformed. Naruto was wearing a ninja band with the word hell written on it. Imagine the ninja band of Jiraiya, but with the word hell written on it. He was wearing a dark blue shirt and black trousers. Over the shirt, he was wearing a red trench coat. Imagine Dante's clothes from Devil May Cry 4. At the end of the trench coat sleeves on each arm, there was a stone circle with unrecognizable symbols engraved on it. On his back, he carried a dark red broadsword with orange cracks. It looked as if he had forged a sword out of a piece of volcano. Genjutsu. That must be it, Kakashi thought. Naruto smiled before saying, I know what you're thinking. Many of my enemies have had the same thoughts. This is not a genjutsu. Kakashi pulled out a kunai. Whether it's genjutsu or not, you can't beat me. A genin has never defeated a jounin head-on. Oh, Kakashi-sensei. You don't even know what I'm capable of and yet you say I'll lose. Naruto pounced on Kakashi. He took up his sword and brandished it vertically. Kakashi dodged and attacked with his kunai. Naruto turned and threw a horizontal slash. Kakashi crouched down and tried to sweep him away, but Naruto jumped back. Kakashi tried to think of what to do. He's very nervous. I can't hit him easily. What do I do? He looked at Sasuke and remembered something. I wish Naruto wasn't joking about not losing. He made a couple of stamps and ended up with the Tora stamp. Katen. Kakaki Unojutsu. A huge fireball was directed towards Naruto. He smiled sardonically. He raised a hand and stood motionless. Kakashi was starting to panic. If he killed Naruto, the Hokage would behead him. The fire caught up to Naruto and exploded. Shit, Kakashi thought, believing that he had just cremated his student. But then, all the fire and smoke were sucked in like by a black hole. When the fire and smoke dissipated, Naruto was still in the same position. But the runes of the stone circle were shining. Kakashi-sensei, you're not very smart, you know. Why do you say that, Naruto? Naruto smiled. This armor is called Hell Knight. Emphasis on infernal. I am not affected by the fire. Kakashi noticed something. Wait, the explosion completely caught up with you. Your face is not wearing armor. Why is it not burned? Have you seen that second skin? That's the armor. Although it seems that my face is exposed, it's only for aesthetics. The armor surrounds my whole body. This doesn't look good. I'm going to have to find a weakness in that armor. Maybe I should use a jutsu suiten. Kakashi ran to Naruto and started making stamps, but then Naruto smiled even more and said, Kakashi-sensei. He said in a playful voice, that fireball hasn't disappeared just like that. Naruto extended a hand and pointed it at the one-eyed Junin. What is it? Kakashi didn't finish his thought when the runes glowed red again. Suddenly, fire erupted from Naruto's palm and headed towards Kakashi. Shit, Kakashi thought as he tried to dodge it. Boom! The fire hit the Junin and exploded. Naruto was laughing out loud, while the other two students stared wide-eyed, convinced that their sensei had just been burned to death. However, Naruto felt a cold tip rubbing against his neck. He looked back and saw Kakashi holding a cradle and on his neck. He looked back and saw the charred remains of a log. Stupid substitution. Kakashi smiled with his eyes. It looks like you've lost. Naruto quickly turned around and stabbed with his sword. Kakashi pulled away and was about to attack when he saw the sword touch the ground. The surrounding terrain, in a circle of 30 centimeters in radius, burst into flames. Then he noticed a burning smell. He looked down and saw a small pool of lava. Kakashi jumped to avoid a hellish fate. Then he saw a pair of badly burned hands sticking out of the puddle as if trying to reach something. They were trying to drag me, Kakashi thought. Higoku no Kishimbo and Gampru, lava puddle. Naruto wasn't finished. He made some seals, some familiar and some unknown, and said, Higoku no Kishimbo, Higoku no Akusu, handshake from hell. From the same pool of lava, a gigantic skeletal hand emerged and extended towards Kakashi. What the hell is this? An invocation. Where does a child learn these movements? Kakashi had to go around the hand to avoid being captured. Where are you going, sensei? Naruto asked sarcastically. He just wants to shake your hand, bring. Naruto's eyes widened. Kakashi jumped away from the infernal branch and smiled sarcastically. Looks like your time is up. Sakura and Sasuke opened their eyes like plates. They had just seen how their partner almost killed his sensei with some hellish techniques. But then Kakashi said, since they didn't get any bells, they suspend. Everyone will be sent back to the academy. Both the emo and the harpy were going to protest, but then Naruto approached Kakashi and started whispering something in his ear. His face went from surprise to understanding and finally to acceptance. Then he said, okay, Naruto won't be going back to the academy. On trial. Sakura was silent, surprised. This transfer student was going to pass while his Sasuke-kun was not. So Sakura decided to ask her sensei why it was like that when Sasuke said, why? Why him? What did he do that we didn't do? Kakashi looked at Sasuke and said he understood. Sasuke had a confused expression. Kakashi noticed it and said, I'll give you a hint. He approached a stone in the field. This is a memorial stone. Everyone here has been killed in combat. He looked back and said, my sensei said this. Those who break the rules are scum, but those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. These people gave their lives protecting their friends. You too, try to decipher the true meaning of the test. Sakura thought for a moment. The real meaning. Let's analyze it. Okay, we had to take the bells off Kakashi-sensei, but he's a Junin. Wait a minute, how can a Genin defeat a Junin? One moment, there are only 2 bells. That's it. Sakura smiled smugly. I already have it. The real meaning of this test was teamwork, right? Kakashi smiled with her eyes. It was still scary. Good job, Sakura. The team would just slow me down. Everyone turned to Sasuke. I need to gather enough power to kill him, and you would prevent me. Kakashi sighed in thought. I guess Itachi really traumatized him. Naruto glared at Sasuke. Oh yeah. So why the hell are you trapped underground? Sasuke remained silent, staring at Naruto. No response. If you had asked Sakura for help, you could have distracted Kakashi-sensei while she was looking for the bells. Sasuke grunted. Help me. Don't joke around. It's useless. He can't even defend himself. How do you think it would help me? Sasuke couldn't finish the sentence because he was grabbed by the neck and thrown to the ground. Then Naruto decided he needed a good beating. While Naruto was beating up the Avenger, Sakura and Kakashi stepped forward to stop him, but Naruto shouted, "Don't interfere. People like him only learn with eccentric methods." He resumed the beating and shouted, "Why don't they stop me? Stop me if you're that cool." Sasuke was full of bruises. "You know, if you'd had the help of my teammates, you could have stopped me. But you're so arrogant that your pride played tricks on you." You have no idea how lucky you are. If I had had as many people to help me as you, my childhood would have been much better. And on top of that, you insult your colleagues. You have no idea what I would do to save your life. So stop being an arrogant and accept the help of others. If not, you will never succeed in killing your target. Naruto stopped hitting Sasuke. He prepared for any attack, but Sasuke just lay there. He remained silent until he said, "So you know that pain too." Naruto scoffed. "Not only do I know it, but I understand it, and I know how to use it in my life to achieve my goals. Not you, and that's why you'll always be weak." Sasuke got up and left. Sakura shouted, "Where are you going, Sasuke-kun?" He looked back for a moment before saying, "To the hospital. Naruto not only made me come to my senses, but he also broke some of my teeth." Sakura was about to scold Naruto when she noticed that he was already going home. Kakashi yelled at both of them. "By the way, since they understand it, they approve. Team meeting tomorrow at 10. He was about to disappear with a shunsin when Sakura asked him, "Sensei, what did Naruto say to him earlier when he was whispering?" He stood thinking for a moment. Flashback scene. Naruto whispered, "Sensei, the real meaning of this test is teamwork, isn't it?" Kakashi was surprised. "I had figured it out." "How?" Naruto smiled. "While waiting for Sasuke and Sakura to be defeated, I was thinking. Besides, the Kyuubi helped me." Kakashi nodded. "I see." Naruto scratched the back of his head shyly as he said, "Well, rather Kyuubi told me about it. I'm not the smartest person you'll ever meet." Kakashi laughed. "I do agree with that." End of the flashback. He understood the meaning of the exam halfway and wanted to see if you would understand it before the bell rang. Kakashi lied half-heartedly. But Sakura didn't seem to care about the answer. He went home. "Bye, sensei. See you tomorrow at 10. Kakashi thought to himself. "Well, it looks like I'm going to have an interesting time with this team." More, stop. The Okage said, "Report. Team 1 fails. Team 2 fails. Team 3 fails. Team 4 fails. Team 5 fails. Team 6 fails. And I see Kakashi hasn't arrived yet. No wonder." A Jounin said. "Does it matter? He probably failed another team again." The Okage nodded. "So, carry on. Team passes 8. Team passes 9. Team passes 10. Kakashi suddenly appeared in the room. "Ah, Kakashi. How nice of you to join us. Please inform us." Team 7 passes. Everyone opened their eyes like plates. A Jounin in a green spandex suit and a Chinen vest came up and said, "My young rival. You finally outplayed a team. Looks like our youth battle is tied again." "Mom, did you say something?" Everyone got a drop of sweat on their forehead when this Jounin started shouting about being moderna and youthful. However, the Okage was interested in something else. "Why did you let this team through, Kakashi?" One of the Jounin said, "It must be because the Uchiha was in the team." Kakashi replied, "Actually, Sasuke almost failed, and now he's in the hospital for a beating," quoting Naruto. The Jounins began to cry out asking who would dare to hurt their precious Uchiha. The Okage shouted, "Silence. Kakashi, please continue." Kakashi told the elder leader everything, including what Naruto whispered to him and the beating the Uchiha got. A Junen with the ninja band as a hat shouted, "We should go to that demon's house," and the Junen found a crib and next to it on the wall. The Okage fulminated him with the look. "If you finish that sentence, you're in for a beating. I'll have Ibiki meet you personally." No one made any sound. "Is that all?" Sarutobi asked, "Then you may withdraw." When everyone disappeared, he took out a bottle of sake and had a good drink. "I had a feeling it was going to be a long night. Tora must die," Naruto thought. Team 7 was on a mission to capture the daimyo's wife's cat. This D-rank mission was well known throughout the Land of Fire because the cat always escaped. This time it was Team 7's turn, and, as expected, Naruto hated that cat. "Armor, are you in position?" He heard Naruto through his headphones. Yes, I am. And emo and bands. I hate you, Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura said in unison. Naruto looked between two trees and a bush. He saw a crack, and, Cyclops, I can see the target. All right, armor, go ahead. Naruto jumped out of hiding and dived into the bushes. He pulled a striped cat out from among the leaves. Striped, with a red bow tie over his ear. Cyclops, I've located the target. Back at the tower, Team 7 watched as the daimyo's wife crushed the cat to death. Sasuke and Sakura turned away from Naruto, while he laughed wickedly and said, "A little more. Let me hear the bones break." The daimyo's wife paid the amount corresponding to a mission of rank of and left. The Hokage looked at his paper and said, "Kakashi, your team can perform another mission. You can choose between weeding a garden, painting a fence, watering." No. He looked at Naruto. What do you mean? Dude, these aren't ninja missions. Why can't we do something higher level? Iruka screamed. Naruto. Show some respect to Hokage-sama. You just got out of Genin Academy. You are not ready to go on these dangerous missions. Naruto looked at Iruka. I thought I proved to be able to protect myself when I fought Mizuki-sensei. Iruka turned pale as he remembered what happened. Sasuke and Sakura looked at each other, clearly confused about what had happened to Mizuki. The Hokage sighed. I'm too old for these things. He reached out his hand and took a scroll with a C on it. I can assign you a C-rank mission, but nothing more. Please come in, Tazunas. The door opened, revealing a middle-aged man, drunk, with a serving bottle in his hand. What? I asked for ninjas, and you bring me a competent-looking ninja and 3 brats. Can these kids really protect me? One has a ridiculous hairstyle. Sasuke snarled. That girl looks like she would give up as soon as she saw a bandit, Sakura said, cracking her knuckles. And the last one, are you really trying to be a girl? Which ninja did you wear in white? He brought the serve to his lips and felt a cradle and in his throat. He looked back and saw Naruto standing there with the kyuune. What girl? A ninja who could beat the shit out of you if you insult me or my team again. Tazuna swallowed hard. They'll do. Kakashi looked at his team and his client. We'll meet at the gates in an hour. Go and get ready for this mission. An hour later, the genin from Team 7 were waiting at the door. Naruto had packed a lot of ramen for the trip, as his weapons were sealed or could be activated by seals. So I had plenty of room. Kakashi walked towards the door with Tazuna. It was quite funny when Sakura attacked Kakashi, yelling at him that the one-eyed Junin would never arrive on time. They left for the home of Tazuna, the country of waves. Sakura started asking about the land of waves, but Naruto ignored her. About 10 minutes later, he saw a puddle further on. Naruto's eye twitched. And are they complaining that I'm not stealthy? If it hasn't rained in days. He looked at Kakashi and saw that he also knew that it was a genjutsu. They passed by the puddle and 2 ninjas emerged from it. They wore gauntlets and a sharp chain linked them. They pounced on the one-eyed Junin, wrapped him with the chain and pulled. They tore him to pieces. Sakura was in a panic. Kakashi-sensei. One of the 2 ninjas said. 1 down, 4 to go. They looked at the rest of Team 7. We are the Demon Brothers. They've hired us to kill that man over there. So why don't they slowly move away from him? Naruto pounced on the brother on the left. He raised his gauntlet, ready to attack. But before I could do that, he disappeared. He looked around, but didn't see it. Ha, looks like he was smart enough to run away. Brother, let's get rid of the others fast, brother. Brother, he looked at his brother and was shocked to see him dead on the ground, with Naruto sitting on him. And his sword stuck in his neck. Hey! Brother! Shouted the living demon brother. I'll kill you. He threw a horizontal punch. Naruto blocked him with his sword and kicked him in the leg. The demon brother fell forward and Naruto stepped on his head, knocking him unconscious. He looked at everyone. Okay, we're safe for now. Sakura looked like she was about to cry. But Kakashi-sensei was. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about him. All 3 broke out in a cold sweat. How can you forget that someone has died? Then Naruto looked at a tree and said, you can come out now. The Junin jumped out of the tree. Sakura exclaimed. Sensei. It's okay. I'm sorry, but I wanted to see what you were looking for. Tazuna-san, why were those ninjas chasing you? Tazuna told them about Wave's current situation and how the boss of a shipping company named Gato had blocked trade with Wave. It was in bad shape right now, but if they finished the bridge, they could recover. And I couldn't afford a higher ranked quest, so I had to accept a C rank one please. I'm sorry I lied, but there was no other option. Well, now at least it's a B rank mission. It's up to my team if they want to continue. Naruto started walking towards the wave. I don't really have a choice. If I were not, I would never be able to look in the mirror. Besides, the people I know would kill me if I left the mission halfway. So you already know my answer. Sasuke said. I'll go too. It would be a good time to test my strength. Sakura decided to go too. Her crush on Sasuke had somewhat diminished due to the post-exam incident, but she was the president of his fan club. He wouldn't let himself be beaten that easily. I'm coming too. Well, let's move on, shall we? They walked until they reached a wooded area. Suddenly, Sasuke threw a cradle and a bush. As he approached to investigate, he found a white rabbit trembling with fear. Sakura squealed with excitement as she grabbed and hugged the poor creature, because she thought it was adorable. Kakashi thought, Mom, I thought Naruto would notice something like that first. He looked at Naruto and saw that he was asleep. How is that possible? I was sleepwalking. Naruto woke up and screamed. Everyone, get down on the ground. A sword flew past their heads and stuck into the tree. A man was standing on the sword. Kakashi said, Momoki Zabusha, the demon of the hidden mist. Well, if it's not Kakashi the impersonator. It's an honor to meet you and your famous Sharingan. Sharingan. How come Kakashi-sensei has it? Only an Uchiha could have it. Kakashi pulled up the girl band, letting his famous eye show. The battle will be completely canonical. I really don't want to write something that can just be seen. I'm too lazy. Kakashi got trapped in Zabusha's Suiro no Jutsu. Kakashi shouted, Run. He's too strong for you. Protect the customer. Sasuke smiled sarcastically. Kakashi-sensei, don't you remember? Those who break the rules are trash. But those who abandon their friends are worse than garbage, Sakura concluded. Right, Naruto. She looked at him and found him sleeping on his feet. How long was he there? He was sleeping the whole time. Zabuza laughed. Ha, looks like one of your friends can't defend himself. Or at least that's what I would say if he drew his sword with his free hand and brandished it backwards. He wasn't smart enough to create a distraction. He heard a bang when his sword hit a cage. Bunsen. The real Naruto opened his eyes. When did you make a bunsen? His companions thought. Naruto glared at Zabusha before saying, I guess you're on the level of my sensei in terms of skill and power. I'll have to use all my power. He made the seal. Yoriten, Higoku no Kishimbo. A second skin and a white light appeared and disappeared, revealing the Hell Knight Naruto. Zabuza opened her eyes wide. Then he smiled. Well, it looks like it could be a challenge, but appearances can be deceiving. Show me what you're capable of. Zabusha made hand seals and created 5 Mizubansen. Naruto made some stamps and extended both hands towards the shadow clones, Zabusha and Kakashi. Then he shouted, Hey Kakashi-sensei. If Zabusha releases that jutsu before it reaches you, I'm sorry for any burns you may suffer. Kakashi's eyes widened. Wait a minute. No. Too late. Naruto screamed. Higoku no Kishimbo. Kanojutsu? A dark red fire erupted from Naruto's hands. The runes on the stone glowed an intense red. The fire dissolved all the Mizubansens and rushed towards the 2 high-level ninjas. Zabuza released the jutsu and jumped to the side. Kakashi quickly submerged before being incinerated. He came to the surface shouting, Naruto. You almost killed me. Naruto held up 2 fingers. First, I almost killed you. The key word is almost. Secondly, I knew I wouldn't kill you. Rather, a horrible and irreparable burn. Sakura, Sasuke and Tazuna turned away from Naruto. Kakashi thought, damn, I had the Sharingan activated the whole time. I'm running out of chakra. Looks like you have an interesting jutsu. I had never heard of a jutsu with which you can throw fire with your hands. But, Zabusha said as he noticed the unique sword that Naruto was carrying on his back, let's see your swordsmanship. His hands and weapons became a blur. The spectators could only hear the crash of metal. Zabuza scoffed. It's not bad, but you'll be better to beat me. But inside I was thinking, this kid is strong. I can't get over it. Maybe I should try something different. He jumped back before Naruto could attack him and performed some seals. Suten. Suiryuden no Jutsu. A giant water dragon emerged from the lake and pounced on Naruto. Naruto used Higoku no Kishimbo, Kanojutsu, and pointed at the dragon. The two jutsus collided and the dragon won. The water hit Naruto and threw him to the ground. He got up coughing. Oh my god, I just swallowed 2 tons of fish urine. What should I do? My jutsu is not strong enough, and as long as I am so close to the lake, I cannot create a lava lake. I guess it's my only option. I hope he doesn't kill everyone. He made 5 stamps that Kakashi recognized. What? How does he know how to do that? Where did you get the contract, and with whom? Naruto said, Kuchio Senjutsu. A huge explosion was heard, and smoke covered the area. When he disappeared, he revealed the invocation of Naruto. A giant water snake. The snake's contract. No, wait, it looks different. As Kakashi had predicted, this one was different from ordinary snakes. It had 2 giant pectoral fins, and an also giant caudal fin. It was covered with scales, but at the bottom, the scales were larger and did not cover the entire body. This, Naruto began, is a water snake. Her name is Ansa. Everyone shuddered. That invocation had an evil aura, as if it radiated a murderous intention. Fear ran down their backs as Ansa spoke. Ah, Uzumaki-sama. It's been too long. Yes, Ansa. I'm sorry, but I need you to attack